4-hour Sean Ryan podcast. He absolutely slams Donald Trump and he goes in on Candace Owens. Guys, he left no stone unturned. The podcast was 4 hours. I listened to it, so you don't have to. Long ass podcast. I put it on 2x speed. Man, who's the real American, guys? Sean Strickland or Donald Trump? The beef escalates. Donald Trump banned him from the White House card at the UFC. Strickland's firing back on podcasts. Critical of Donald Trump and his administration. The beef escalates, guys. We're going to get into all of it. Man, Sean went in on Candace Owens. Sean said UFC fighter pay is predatory. Sean says that he used to support Trump and now he doesn't support Trump. Man, he went in on his family life. Sean opened up. Guys, we're going to get into it on this podcast. Plus, Mike Perry versus Dylan Dennis has been announced. Everybody want to see Mike Perry fight again? Guys, you got it. Against Dylan Dennis. The question is, will Dylan Dennis actually show up? Some people are saying he's in legal trouble due to his lawsuit that he had with Logan Paul, and now he needs to fight, so he has to show up. Man, that's a crazy-ass fight. We got a leg locker versus a bare-knuckle brawler. Anyways, my name is King David MMA. I'm a professional MMA champion of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I coach at Extreme Couture. My uncle's Hulk Hogan. So we have a wide variety of topics that we can cover here on the live today. I'll be your host. Let me go ahead and pop this in the chat real quick, and then we'll get started. I got a dispensary sponsor out here in Vegas. Make sure you go check out the spot. If you buy $100 worth of product, they'll give you the $100 worth of cabbage, greens, celery, lettuce, whatever mind-altering plant you would prefer, and then they'll give you $35 back. So save 35% off everything if you're a new customer at the spot. It's right across from the Palms Place in Las Vegas. If you know where the Palms Place is, you just look straight at it, you turn around, and you are at the spot, guys. Also, make sure you check out StudioMillions.com. Studio Millions, man. The problem is your coach knows how to teach martial arts, but they could use more students. They could use better processes. They could build their gym without all the stress and pressure and guesswork. That's what Studio Millions does. It's all the standard operating procedures. It's all the copy and paste emails. It's all the ads. It's everything your coach needs to run a successful gym. Just plug it and play it. StudioMillions.com. Send your coach. They will be fucking thankful. They will be very glad you sent them, and they will love you for it. Make sure you send your coach to Studio Millions. Also, check out Fight Circus, home of the Freak Show fights. I performed for Fight Circus at the Palms in Las Vegas. Big show, main event. Also, I performed in Thailand, another big show. We had Hollywood producers there. The creator of America's Next Top Model was there. He was filming the whole thing. Big show. The one that's coming up in Vegas, I heard the rumor is going to be in December at an even bigger, more prestigious venue. And the fighters that are going to be on the freaking card are even crazier, guys. This last one, we had Mayhem Miller and Gabby Garcia popping up as Labubus, okay? That's what they would, that's the type of show we're running, all right? This one's going to be even bigger. We've had Tyson Fury, we've had Rampage Jackson, we've had everybody. You name them, we've had them. Bob Sapp, all that crazy. Felony Charles Bennett, everybody, bro. We've had everybody. We've had freaking everybody. And when you, I can't say who it, I want to say so freaking bad. But anyways, check out Fight Circus, guys. Let's get right into it. Sean Strickland versus Donald Trump. The battle continues. It escalated, man. Sean Strickland went on the Sean Ryan podcast. He did a 4-hour podcast. He discussed a lot about his family life, a lot of the stuff that he's been through as a child and a teen growing up. There was a lot of heavy stuff. And then they also got into some politics. So Strickland went in on Trump and said that essentially he understands why he wasn't allowed to go to the White House, because Strickland was essentially banned from the White House. Dana White said he wasn't banned. Strickland showed up anyways to the fan event, got arrested. He got escorted out by the police. And Strickland says, man, they would have put a camera on him and then he would have popped off talking about like, hey, them kids, I'm just here to watch the fights. I'm not with those guys, right? And he would have said something controversial. So he understands, which is cool, man. He's kind of throwing himself under the bus for the UFC, which shows loyalty to the UFC, but he's also blasting the administration in that regard, saying that they are all on the list and they're protecting the list. And he went even further and he said that Trump, he doesn't necessarily believe he did those things on the list, but he believes that he is protecting people who did. And so he's not stopping with that. He's pushing in on that. And he's saying that his views on Trump had changed because he used to support Trump and now he doesn't support Trump. He feels like we were promised no new wars and now we're over here in a war again. He got into it with Sean Ryan because he started calling out Candace Owens and conspiracy theorists, right? And he was saying that Candace isn't doing the movement any justice. And he was saying that Candace has conspiracy theories about Charlie Kirk being a time traveler and all kinds of shit that just makes normal people check out. Then Strickland said this. He said, man, you can't do that, man. You got to keep it very straightforward because the average person is at work all day and they don't have the time to go deep down rabbit holes. And if you start going down the rabbit hole, they're going to like check out. So he said, there's no conspiracy about it. He said that country over there wants a certain agenda. He said the military complex here wants a certain agenda. Those two agendas have found a way to align and they are persuading politicians to move forward with their agenda. It's not a conspiracy. It's just very obvious, very blatant. We don't need to talk time travelers. We don't need to talk microphones we don't need to talk any of that. There was a dude on the roof. Whatever happened, happened. It's very straightforward. Don't get off the subject. Don't say another country was involved. Don't say that Charlie's views changed and then he was exited out of the sphere of influence. Don't say any of that. Just keep the story pretty straightforward. Hey, there is a military lobby. There is a different country lobby. These rich businessmen get together. They want to push agendas. And that's what we're seeing happen. So Strickland said that. Sean Ryan was pushing back. He goes, bro, they just spent millions of dollars on an American political race to get the dude to not get elected because he's not who they wanted. So they're interfering. You know what I mean? And so now we got pushback, right? And so Strickland is saying that Candace is dividing the party, right? Sean Ryan is like, bro, this is blatant. It's not a conspiracy. You know what I'm saying? He said, he had a good word for it. It was like theoretical, a theoretical process or something like that. He's like, yeah, or dude, fuck, bro. He had the best way to describe it because he goes, when you say the word conspiracy, then people start going, whoa, whoa, whoa. But if you go like a hypothetical thought or something, then now we're like, hey man, we're exploring hypotheticals. So Strickland pushed back, and then Sean pushed back, and they're going back and forth. Eventually, Strickland said, man, listen, people are stupid. They can't process all that. Which, if the theorists, which I don't know shit about it. I'm Mr. fucking chilling on the outside, meditating in my backyard, doing breath work. But if one were to believe that the country over there is doing what people say they're doing, which is they think they're better than everybody and they don't think anybody's human, whatever, right? And everybody's too stupid to know the truth. And or even American politicians. Hey, the people are too stupid to know the truth. We can't tell them about UFOs. They're too stupid, right? So now we're getting into that. Like, so then we're going to like lie to people, right? So Strickland's point is this, which is a practical point in a way, but it leads to other questions. Because how much information should the population be allowed to have? Because if you believe that the average person is like, let's call them a low information voter, and you give them a bunch of information and it scares them off the topic because they're like, that's crazy. And they don't have the time to look into it. And now they're going to go do something else that doesn't serve the agenda. It's like, how much is the correct amount to give out so that people move in the way that's you believe is best for their best interest. There's the other way of thinking, which is like, hey, man, we're going to have free and open debates. We're going to discuss everything. The best idea is going to win. We believe that people are smart, and we're going to let people come to their own conclusions. Right? And so the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there is a philosophical theory that says that as an individual, a human being oftentimes is wrong. But as a collective, the collective information processed through multiple human beings, almost like an open source, right, gets it right. So even though every individual take might not be perfect, over the course of like millions and millions of takes, given the accurate information, the consensus will form an idea that's better than the previous idea, right? So like if a lot of people are working on an app that's open source, it'll be a better app than if one person did it and just tried to keep the source to themselves. So it's the same thing with like information theory, right? Like if information is out there, the individual might get it wrong based on the information, but the collective will get it closer to the truth than any one given individual would have. Does that make sense? So anyways, I thought that was an interesting distinction that they got to in the podcast. Also, Strickland, if you guys, I don't even know, if you guys are curious about Strickland's upbringing, it's pretty brutal, and he gets into it on the podcast. So that's like the first whole segment of the pod. And then I'm more interested in like the UFC fighter pay or him. I'm curious as to why he's beefing with Candace. Now I kind of understand. He's got a certain outlook on the way information should be delivered. And Candace kind of goes with like a stream of thought, like, hey, I'm asking questions. I don't have an actual theory that I'm presenting. I'm just bringing up things that I perceive to be holes in the current narrative. And the counterpoint is that like that's dangerous because people start going down rabbit holes, right? So you should probably like do some research and get a solid theory before you start asking a bunch of questions, which then goes to like her going, hey man, I'm open sourcing the investigation because together the collective will be able to get closer to the truth than one person theorizing something without all the information that millions of people could do together as a collective. So anyways, that's some information theory for you guys. Also, Strickland said the UFC fighter pay is predatory and that the Dagestanis will fight for nothing because in their country, the dollar goes far. We discussed that in the last live. Strickland was talking about how fighters are broke. And he said that the UFC kind of saved his life in a way, like MMA saved his life. He also went and, dude, I'm not sure how these people are saying this shit on this. Whenever I say something wild, maybe it's because I recently started posting again, but I hadn't posted for like several years. I made like a video and then like never touched this channel. So I don't know if I'm in some different algorithm, but when I say shit with certain words in it, it seems like those videos get less views and then they're only shown to people who subscribe, right? Maybe I'm tripping. But Strickland said Trump was a cult of personality. There was a very bad guy back in the day from Germany who's gaining popularity again on X because he's now been translated into English. And a lot of people are like, man, that doesn't sound, why did everybody say I was the bad guy? That guy sounds like he's trying to protect his country. So that guy whose lore is gaining popularity in some circles, who did some really bad things, his name starts with an H and his last name, and his first name starts with an A, his last name starts with an H, ends with an R. That guy, Strickland says Trump reminds him of that guy, right? Strickland says Trump reminds him of that guy who led Germany back in the day, right? And he said he was uncomfortable at the rally because everybody would blindly follow Trump. Like Trump will go, we're going to lock up people who burn the flag. And Strickland's like looking around. And he said that he was there with Vivek Ramaswamy. And Vivek's like, and Vivek bounced. You know what I mean? So I get what he's saying, right? He went even further. He was saying that Trump was loyal to people on the list. That's why the list hasn't been released. Man, so the beef's escalating is what I'm saying, guys. The beef is escalating. And then Sean Strickland and Sean Ryan got into it on overseas policy, which was also interesting because Sean Ryan was over there fighting as I believe, Navy SEAL. And he and Sean had Sean had differences of opinion as to what's going on over there. Sean Ryan thinks that there's a foreign government that's interfering with our policy and that our current administration is acting in alignment with the interests of that country as opposed to the country that we all live in. So yeah, man, it popped the fuck off. It popped the fuck off. And the most important thing for me was kind of when Strickland started discussing how MMA changed his life, right? Because all this other stuff is like theoretical, hypothetical. I believe this, I believe that. Well, why do you believe? Well, this because this points to this and other. But like, there's no agreed upon hard evidence on any of these theories, really, right? There's points that can be agreed upon, but the reason for why these things are happening is speculative in a lot of ways. So what's not speculative is Sean believes that MMA changed his life. He said it because he was talking about all the bad shit that happened to him, and then he went to jail, and then he teamed up with the white people in jail, and he was doing all kinds of crazy shit. He was street fighting, he was pulling up to parties to beat people up and all kinds of shit. And then he said he would go in the gym and he was working his ass off. And he was pushing himself so hard he felt like he was gonna die. But he was like feeling like he's not at work. He felt like he's doing what he loves, right? And so this is an important thing in life, which is we don't need to get perfect. But as men, one of the most rewarding things we can do is have a sense of purpose and be progressing towards that purpose. So let's say you wanted to sign up to a jiu-jitsu gym. You're like, okay, I'm 35 years old and I just want to try jiu-jitsu. Well, if you're like, hey, I want to get my black belt by the time I'm 45. Well, now you've got like a purpose in a way, right? And every day that you go to the gym, you progress towards that purpose, you're going to feel good. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel like there's some kind of order and meaning to your life, right? But if you're just floating in the wind, doing some job you don't even like, for what, right? Like it can start to be a little weird. So that's why I believe that whatever the fucking goal is, right? Setting a goal, no matter like just anything. Oh man, I want to get six-pack abs. If you're progressing towards it, you're gonna feel better than if you don't have something you're progressing towards. So I think that's what happens with a lot of MMA fighters, is that because we do have goals that we're working towards, and the goal always evolves. It would be like trying to master chess, right? You're never gonna master chess. There's always gonna be some way to beat something, and the moves are going to just go for infinity. They're unlimited as to like how good you could get at the game in theory. So it's the same thing with martial arts, right? You can always get better. So right now I'm a black belt, a pro MMA champion. One of my current goals is to beat someone else who's fought in the UFC, because I beat a guy who went on to fight in the UFC, and then I beat him up when we trained together again after that, like 10 years later. But I want to beat somebody who fought in the UFC and won at least one fight in the UFC, and then I beat them, right? Because for whatever reason, age is a factor. I'm not allowed to fight in the UFC per Sean Shelby, which is, hey, that's their company. They can make whatever discretionary judgment they want. Good on them. That doesn't stop me from going out and fighting UFC veterans and beating them up. So I got shit to work on, right? I'm a black belt, right? But if I was to go grapple Gordon Ryan, he would ball me up. So I got shit to work on, right? I like to strike, but is my turning sidekick perfect? No. Like there's moves that you can add to your arsenal and perfect. Oh, if I spar this person, I do well, but if I spar that person, oh man, they kind of get me. Okay, well, that's my new benchmark that I'm trying to surpass. Oh, I'm going to go spar that guy. And when I feel really comfortable and I can beat that guy, then I know I've made progress, right? So this is what I used to do all the way coming up. I would find somebody who was like a stage or two ahead of me, and I would set them as my marker of like, when I can hang with them, I know I've progressed. And they're going to get better too. But I remember one time I was a white belt, and I went to this practice, and the head coach was gone, so a purple belt covered class. He taught class. And I rolled with this purple belt. And I could not conceive of how I could, like, it was out of my realm of fucking consciousness. It's like a video game. If like you can only see that much on the map and everything else in the map is in shadow, right? Like I could only see this. I'm like, dude, I'm doing everything I could do. I was sprinting hills. I was 162 pounds. I was repping 315 on bench. I was strong as shit. But I was a white belt. And I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So I could add force to improper technique and it wasn't helping me. And I was like, dude, okay, so here's what I know. I know that this dude got a purple belt. So I can learn what he knows. I just can't process what I need to learn. I can't even conceive of it. Like, how could I get that good? I know it's possible, but I don't even see the path. So anyway, I keep training. I get a blue belt. My teammates are training too. Couple of them I'm like surpassing, but a lot of them are getting better at the same rate that I'm getting better in a lot of ways. And then this purple belt had kind of bounced out of the gym for a while, and he came back. This is like maybe a year, 2 years later, something like that, 18 months. And I grappled this guy. I tapped this motherfucker 5 times in 3 minutes. And the same exact dude that I couldn't even imagine how he could be that good, I had now surpassed. And on that same day that I tapped him 5 times in 3 minutes, he literally walked off the mat, fucking bam, slammed him, pissed. He got promoted to brown belt. And I'm like, dude, that was one of the biggest life lessons for me. Was like, I didn't even know how much better I had gotten because I was in a room of people who were progressing with me. But someone who had taken time off and come back, I had now surpassed. And that was someone who I thought it was going to be impossible to get as good as. And now I'm light years ahead of that guy. Like, me versus the version of that guy that I thought was impossible, I would do whatever the fuck I want, bro. So it's kind of crazy how even though you don't see the way, as long as you believe the way is possible, that's why they talk about having faith, right? You can act in faith or you can act in fear. Both are unseen things that you have to believe, right? And if you believe in the faithful path, you don't even need to know the how. You just need to know it's possible and stay working towards it. Because they say it's either working for you or it's working on you. Either way, it's working. Let's freaking go. I'm going to read the chat real quick. WMC says, yo, man, you hear about the Anthony Smith arrest? No, bro. He got arrested. Dang, dude. What did he do? Are there any details? We got Tycoon Troy in the chat. Average person can't learn shit. That's why I had to quit my job. Oh, shit. Okay. Now you flipping garage sale. Or you flipping storage units. Flipping storage units. Let's fucking go. John Don says, sup? WMC, wave, laugh emoji, at Dong. Okay. Hey, man, you guys must know each other. Let's freaking go. R upon the Don says, let's go. Real ones are live. Real ones recognize real ones, man. Jared's Two Real Toys. Weird ones in the chat. Okay. He said, what he means to say is real ones. Hey, okay, listen, we can get weird too, man. We can start talking. I've been watching alien documentaries and all kinds of shit. I watched Disclosure Day. I was going to do a whole maybe that's my next live. Maybe my next live is going to be all on aliens. Because right now, we're in a weird space where on one hand, we got Strickland and Sean Ryan arguing over is Candace legit or not. And Candace is saying Charlie was a time traveler or alleging that he may have been. And that there's government programs that work on time travel, right? And then Strickland saying like, she's got to stop with that shit. It's fucking it up for the movement. She's saying a lot of bullshit is essentially what Strickland's implying. And now Jesse on Fire says that Candace is not the person that Strickland should clap at because Candace will clap back. And in this realm, she's the heavyweight undisputed champion of the world. So maybe we're going to see a Candace versus Strickland super fight debate or something, but or maybe they're going to go back and forth on Twitter. We got big drama coming if that's the case. But so on the same hand that, let's say, Strickland or Nick, whose last name I'm not going to say, but he thinks the first priority of America should be America. Guys like that say that Candace is doing a disservice to everybody because she's talking about bullshit. We got movies like Disclosure Day coming out, and we got UAP files being released that essentially are saying we're being visited by some force that we don't understand, and they're implying through the media that these forces have essentially psychic or time traveling or reality bending capabilities. They're coming from different dimensions, or they can warp space-time. And so if the United States government is saying that, and Candace is saying essentially the same thing, but from a different angle, then like, where's the conspiracy? You're like, where, like, I'm not saying she's right about anything. I'm just saying that one could see how that might sound, because the majority of our lives as humans, right? We were told there's no UFOs. There's none of that. And then all of a sudden we get to this point in history and it's like, oh yeah, remember all that stuff we said that there was none of that? There's all that. We got them. Like, it's all in the sky. We don't know. They come by the sites. They shut down the power. They like do whatever they want. We can't control them. We can't catch up to them. They've been coming for a long time. Now that's all released, but it's not as well accepted that that's the actual reality in which we live, where these things are coming and going as they please, and that's a real phenomenon. And they may be using some kind of thing that's outside of our understanding of physics and time and reality and space, and what does any of it mean? And because people haven't necessarily caught up to that narrative yet, they still feel like saying the government has a program that does that is crazy. But to me, I'm like, the government's kind of saying they got a program that does that, right? Like, I mean, the government kind of did invest money, and you guys want to get weird? They invested money into psychic spies, okay? There was a whole program with a dude named Ingo Starr, where they would essentially be able to put their consciousness in other places. The government funded this. I know. I'm not telling you what I think is accurate or real. I'm just telling you what the government spent your tax money on, right? They spent your tax money on something called remote viewing. They not only did they spend tax money on it, they allegedly have an item, I believe it's called the relic, or it's referred to, which is some form of conscious crystalline type. Let's call it like a borderline, like a crystal ball, right? That certain people can connect with, and then they go into Disclosure Day. It's more like an obelisk shaped type thing that they hold, but essentially that part of Disclosure Day is based on a real item that the government has and that people have connected to in real life. And bro, the United States government paid for a psychic spy program called remote viewing, where they could go look at other places, one of which was the backside of the moon. It's been released. This isn't me making some fucking bullshit up or me reading some fucking book in the back of the library that's got a bunch of dust on it and some weird symbols on the front or any. No, dude, this is what the government released. Now, you might make the case, hey, man, they're releasing bullshit, or maybe they invested money into something to test it and then it didn't work. And, you know, it's all, but like, at least they were open to trying it at a minimum and put money into it. So those are the actual facts as presented to us that we can move forward with. The other actual facts that we can move forward, that the United States government has released files of things they claim they don't understand in the sky and, you know, maybe in the water. So now, with that information, so either that's true or the government wants us to believe it's true. Either way, maybe Candace had some information that maybe Sean Strickland didn't have. And maybe she's saying what she believes to be true. And then they can both be right in a way, right? Strickland could be like, dude, listen. Maybe he doesn't want to say it publicly even. He can actually believe what she's saying and not say it publicly because he thinks it's going to distract from the cause. Whatever that cause may be, I don't even know what the fucking cause is. Right? But he said the movement. I don't know what the movement is. And I'm not playing dumb because we're on YouTube. I'm genuinely serious. Like, I don't know what the movement is. I don't know what the movement is. What is the movement? I didn't get the memo. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing fucking handstands in my backyard. I do a sleep standing meditation, which is where I stand and I meditate with my eyes closed in silence. You know what I mean? Like, just, I'm on some whole other, so I don't know what half this shit means. Maybe you guys do. Let me check the chat. Let me check the chat, guys. You know, you guys want, you say weird, we get weird, okay? I'm looking for a reason to get weird. I'm looking for a reason to get weird. We've been calling Bogdan evil Anthony Smith the whole time, but Anthony was the evil one. What's your most favorite movie about aliens? If you haven't seen Arrival 26, I'd highly recommend it. Is Arrival the movie where they were speaking in like almost like ink cloud type, right? Like they had a different type of language. That one was pretty dope. I'll go rewatch that actually. I was planning on watching a movie with my girlfriend. Maybe we'll watch Arrival. Yeah. What's my favorite movie about aliens? Do Marvel movies count? Do Marvel movies count? No, I'm just fucking with you. If so, one of my favorite movies was what was it? Infinity War? You know, because Thanos is an alien, right? You're right, dog. Either you're a real one or weird one. But since you're a real one, drop a like. Oh, snap. Arpon, you're right, Arpon. Let's like this video, man. So the other day I did a video on Clav. Got 2,000 views right out the jump. Then I did a video on Brendan Shaw beefing with Ian Gary. And that's at like 55 views. So I don't know what the fuck is going on. Because some videos pop to some extent. And some videos, I don't know, man. Moving forward, I literally have to force myself to start putting out actual videos. Because I have fun on the problems I have too much fun fucking around with you guys. Just hire some dude to do your job for less than you get paid and call him, oh shit. Okay. Yeah. So that's funny. I used to do web design, graphic design, and online marketing, right? Like, and by do it, I mean like I would do the marketing stuff, but in terms of the web design and graphic design, I was living in San Diego. I was at the beach, chilling. You know what I mean? Swimming in the ocean, body surfing, meditating, training. I would ride my bike to the gym. And then I would look at all the traffic because I was going down the San Diego River because there's a bike path right by it that takes you to the beach. And I was 140 steps off the sand. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that's where I live. You know, a quarter block off the pier, whatever. And I would look at the traffic and I'd be like, fuck, dude, this is crazy. I'm on a bike. I'm catching a sunset. I just left the gym. Everybody's in traffic. I had the fucking wind in my face, the fucking ocean breeze. Air and I was at the time there was a website called Craigslist where you could post like services. So I was posting graphic design and web design essentially. And because there was a huge gap in the marketplace, let's say a plumber or a general contractor that does kitchens, they don't want to talk to some fucking web nerd about your HTML code and your JavaScript. Like, they don't want to hear any of that. They want to go, hey, bro, here's my competitor's website, or here's a website of a plumbing company in a different city. I want my site to look exactly like this. Just make that. They don't, well, do you want it in WordPress or do you want it on, no, bro. They don't want to talk about that. So I would serve the marketplace because I knew enough about web design to talk to the nerd, but I knew enough about like being a normal fucking person to talk to the business owner. So I would get the deal, and then I had a team. And so, like, this is business 101, right? The dude that owns McDonald's doesn't flip the burger, right? I owned the web design company. I'm not building the website. So I would sell the website, let's say 2Gs, then hire somebody who was excellent that would crank websites out for me for 150 bucks a website. You know what I mean? I would sell a website for 4Gs, 150 bucks. He was fucking happy that he didn't have to talk to anybody because all he wanted to do was just sit in the fucking room and code, right? He just wanted to put the fucking, I'm going in the, what's the shit called? The fucking back end of the website. You know what I'm saying? He was in there like swimwear. And he didn't want to talk to anybody. I could just send him the fucking thing. He would crank it out. I'd talk to this guy. This guy wants to, hey man, you know what, man? Can you just make them words red? And I'll be like, bro, change the fucking font to this. You know what I'm saying? So me and this dude would communicate web nerd. Me and this guy would communicate like, hey man, I need my phone to ring. And then this dude was thrilled that he got the website he wanted exactly. This guy was thrilled that he didn't have to talk to anybody. And I'm at the fucking beach making bank, right? So anyways, shout out to Craigslist. Man, I wish that site still played like it did. But, you know, that's a whole other subject, right? Because websites were found to be liable for business that was transacted on them. And because Craigslist had a whole other area of business that was transpiring on there, the powers that be said that the website could be held accountable for that type of business that was happening. And then they removed all that. Their traffic fucking plummeted. And then they started charging to post service ads. So now you were having to pay to post for service ads to no one because all the traffic on that site was there for a lot of the traffic on that website was there for the other business that was transpiring on there that they didn't want to be held accountable for. So anyways, you know, that's how politics gets into day-to-day operations. John Dong says, yeah, that's a rival. John Dong said, oh yeah, I liked Infinity War. Bro, I could rewatch Infinity War like 1,000 times. That movie's so fucking cold because the way that they play the characters out, like Thanos really believes he's doing the right thing. And it kind of parallels like some of the shit that's going on with these billionaires and stuff. Like they probably really think they're doing the right thing. You know what I mean? That's the crazy part, is as cooked as they are, they probably are like, dude, this is the play, bro. We're going to make the mosquito, or whatever the fuck they're thinking. Whatever bizarre, weird, antisocial, germs, be afraid of the air, don't go outside. You know, whatever the fuck bizarre shit they got going on in their head, they probably think they're doing like the planet a service in a way. So that Infinity War was dope in that regard because, you know, although he was the villain, he was like the villain, but he was like cold with it. Like, well, this is the most logical decision. Half of everybody has to go to save the other half. Straight up, you know? And yeah, so I used to play these like hypothetical games online. There was like a website where you could go and it would ask you questions. And I'm into all kinds of fucking bizarre thought fucking exercises and shit. And it would be like, hey man, if you could save 1,000 lives of people you didn't know across the country, but it meant that 5 people in your city would get 5 less years on their life, which option are you taking? You know what I mean? Like bizarre questions, right? And it like, not even to answer them, but like just to start thinking about like, oh shit, what is the actual moral answer here? You know? Anyways, yeah, so Infinity War, I liked Infinity War because in addition to all the typical Marvel stuff, I really like the character of Thanos because yeah, he was like a well developed character, and it's interesting because uh, that series kind of deviates from the comic books. But that's another subject for another time. You know what I mean? We don't need to get into the comic book version and get down that rabbit hole of how they changed it. Anyway, anyways, guys. So yeah, Strickland and Trump are beefing. I'm curious to see where this goes. I feel like Strickland, in a lot of ways, is the voice of the population. I feel like Sean Ryan is also the voice of the population. I feel like they are essentially the two, let's call it camps within the camp. And I don't even know what would define the camp, because that's kind of like the movement, right? But like there's like a pro-America kind of like, hey, we believe in the American dream. We believe in like prosperity and working towards prosperity. We believe like our government officials work for us. We believe like we should prioritize America. Like that kind of, I guess, whatever movement that is. And then there's two camps, and there's the like, Sean's like, hey, we got to get everybody on board with something that, Sean Strickland's like, we got to get everybody on board with something that will win. And then Sean Ryan seems to be, his name's Sean Ryan, right? Sean Ryan seems to be more like, let's just say what is accurate and question things, even if it means that it might not be the most popular thing to say. So anyways, those seem to be the two ideologies within the greater ideology, if that makes any sense. So yeah, man, I'm curious to see if Candace Owens claps back on Strickland. You know, I'm curious to see, because that would be interesting. Now, but you know what, man? Like, here's the issue. As I would like it to move everybody towards the truth. So if that discussion can have a positive outcome, then I'm here for it. If it's just online bickering, then you know what I mean? We got to be above all that. Anyways, guys, that's the live. Be like Sean Strickland. Find something you're passionate about it and make progress towards it daily. You'll feel a lot better about life. I love you guys. See you in the next one. Peace.